Yo, what's up, everybody? How's it going? We're doing another deck interview, and today I've got Trinket Mage with me. We're going to have a look at what is his favorite deck. I'm not entirely sure it actually is his favorite deck. It is the deck that he brought that he wants to talk about. And I think ultimately that's what the series is about. It's about talking about decks together. Trinket Mage also doesn't have a camera and instead got a little PNG tube thing, so I will be PNG tubified again. Perfect. And now, go ahead and introduce yourself.
Hello, I am the Trinket Mage. I am a YouTuber. I make video essays, mostly focused on Commander, sometimes a few other Magic-related things. But yeah, check me out on YouTube. That's mostly where I post content. And this is a very interesting deck. I think I kind of cooked with this one. It's new, so I can't really call it my favorite. But I really like it. I think it's really fun. And it has an interesting game plan, which I actually tasked you with trying to figure out.
Yes. Yeah, you gave me a list and then said, if you can figure out how the deck operates and what the plan A and B are, I would be impressed. So I sat down and I tried to figure it out. Want to hear my guesses?
Yeah, go ahead. I'm excited.
I think your plan A is to use the unspeakable as kind of a value engine by cheating it into play, by creating a token with Tevich Sat, Doom of Force, one of your commanders, and then using the, what is it called? The weird...
Reweave.
The weird reweave, exactly, that's the one. To slam one of the tokens to then polymorph out the unspeakable out of your deck. And you have a whole bunch of arcane spells in the deck, which is why Reweave specifically is your goal, because it's an arcane polymorph. And then you have the unspeakable. And I guess then you smack people? I actually didn't get past that point.
That is plan A, is Reweave to get unspeakable. And then the unspeakable lets you recur arcane spells. So I have Disrupting Shoal, which is like the worst version of Force of Will ever to exist, as my counter spell. And then I have a Rend Flesh, which is a 3-mana Doomblade that destroys non-spirits. And looping those are like my main ways to like get value and attack with the unspeakable. There's a few other like tweaks to the line though. So let's say the unspeakable's in the graveyard. I can use Goryo's Vengeance to reanimate it with haste, and then smack someone, and then use Otherworldly Journey to flicker the unspeakable, so I don't actually have to exile it to Goryo's Vengeance's claws at the end of the turn. And then it comes back with a counter. And then, of course, when you do that and you hit someone, you can get the Goryo's Vengeance back in hand, which means you can then set up to just do this again if they remove the unspeakable. Alternatively, if I crack a white fetch land, I can get Mistveil Plains, which lets me put a card in my graveyard on the bottom of my deck. So I could use the unspeakable to get back Reweave, the polymorph. And then if it's in the bin, I can use Mistveil Plains to put it on the bottom of my deck, polymorph a new token, and then flip back into the unspeakable. So that's how I kind of keep it in play.
So what do you do if it gets exiled? I guess that's where we go to plan B.
This is plan B. Any guesses?
I think it's a Fopta Foundry Sword of the Meek humility line, where you just try to outvalue people by having a bunch of 1/1 tokens. Or, yeah, I guess tokens.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So Thopter Foundry plus Sword of the Meek. I don't have any way to make this go infinite, but you just generate a large amount of tokens, like a huge amount. In the late game, you're tapping for like 8, you make 8 tokens, then 8 tokens, then 8 tokens. Under a humility, it's really difficult to beat that. I just have more tokens than you. Additionally, both commanders work phenomenally well with humility. So Tevesh Zot usually makes 0 ones, but now he makes 1 ones. And Tevesh Zot is a planeswalker, so he's not affected by humility. Additionally, the other commander, Ishai, gets +1/+1 counters, which humility doesn't remove. So Ishai can be a 10/10 underneath the humility, which makes it the biggest thing on the board. I actually had a game with this yesterday where I swung in with Ishai. Both me and the other player at 10 life. The other two players are out. I swung in with Ishai for 10. They blocked with their only flyer. And then I cast Humility to shrink their board so I wouldn't die on the crackback. And then I cast, what is it? Oh, I'm blanking on the name. There's so many arcane spells that are really bad.
You think the arcane spell that destroys all enchantments?
Yes. What is that? Cleansing?
What is it called? Clean Fall?
Clean Fall. There we go. Clean Fall destroys all enchantments. So I destroyed all enchantments to destroy my own Humility to turn Ishai back into a flyer and swing for lethal the next turn.
That is some wild stuff. So something I think is really interesting about your deck immediately is that we didn't begin talking about it by talking about the commander. Instead, we're talking about the unspeakable and arcane spells and humility. Your commanders aren't that important, they seem.
No. So when I initially constructed the deck, you also notice there's no mana rocks in the entire list.
Oh, I
there's
was
no
going to
ramp
talk
of any
about
kind.
that, yeah.
It's part of the commanders and the whole curve of the list. So I was initially going to put a bunch of 2 mana rocks in the deck. So I could go turn 2 rock, turn 3 Ishai, turn 4 Tevish Zot. But the problem was the commanders are not really here to do anything other than make a token to polymorph, and Ishai is just a blocker. So ramping into my commanders doesn't actually do a whole lot for me. So I ended up cutting all the rocks, and instead I added more sort of like cantrippy kind of things. So, and actually, this is one change that I want to make to the list is I want to add more of things, but like Resentful Revelation is like a cantrippy type thing. And then there's like Demonic Tutor and Case of the Stash Skeleton. And the idea is on turns 2 and 3, you want to cast those or Eerie Procession, which tutors for an arcane spell. On 2 and 3, you want to dig/tutor for Reweave so that you actually have Reweave in hand, because this is really the most important spell of the deck. And then on turn 4, you cast Ishai. After one turn cycle, Ishai is pretty big and it wards off a lot of attackers. Turn 5, you go Tevish. Turn 6, you Reweave. And that curve ended up being a lot better by spending turns 2 and 3 digging for what I needed on turn 6, as opposed to having a mana rock and then not having what I needed on turn 6. Because this deck really needs specific things to function.
So you play no ramp at all?
No.
And
there are 43 mana sources, though, if you include MDFCs.
Yes, you play a lot of lands, which is nice to see.
Yes. I do not miss my land drops.
No, you don't. No, you don't. You actually play more lands than I do. 43 is crazy. And I know that there's a bunch of MDFCs in there, but hey, you can still play those as lands, right? That's the whole point.
Exactly. I will say, I guess, slight addendum. Search for Azcanta is technically ramp because it can transform into a land once the condition is met, but like, I'm not really counting that.
Yeah, I think it's a really good card.
I think so too.
Like
it's a phenomenal card, but it's not like ramp. I'm not playing on 2 and then accelerating on 4.
The fact that it does ramp, I think, is an important aspect of it. But like in your deck, it works especially well because you play one creature, right? Like it's literally a single one. And then the Search for Azcanta backside lets you dig out anything you want.
Yeah. And then, actually, I have another card that's very funny with one creature. Breath Stealer's Crypt. It is 2 blue-black for an enchantment. Whenever any player draws a card, which includes you, it has to be revealed. And then if it's a creature, it goes straight to the graveyard, or they pay 3 life.
I was wondering about that card. It seems a bit slow for 4 mana.
It is not a good card. I think it's very funny, though.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's true. I'll give you that.
It's very funny to see everyone have to reveal all their cards, and then sometimes, when life totals get low, which since this deck doesn't actually have like a combo or like a way to burst damage, when it wins in a very grindy fashion. So you get to those late game turns where everyone's on like low life, everyone's at like 15. And then when you're at like 15 or less life, taking 3 damage to draw that creature feels pretty bad. And it often will deny some card draw because of that. It also gives information because your cards are revealed when you draw. That's the same reason I play Telepathy. It's like a politics card.
Yeah.
I really like Telepathy in control decks because oftentimes you're like, do I counter this? Do I have something scarier in hand? Telepathy solves that.
I think that's really interesting that you play telepathy. So for the people that aren't aware, it's just a 1-mana enchantment that says your opponents play with their hands revealed. With telepathy in play, you know what everybody else is up to, but of course they don't know that about you. And this deck is, would you describe it as a control deck?
Yes. 100%. This is a very controlling deck.
Yeah, it plays, I think that's very funny. You know, when I saw the list, this is the third one of these videos that I've made. And when Snail sent me his list, I thought it was really interesting because it was not at all what I expected. And then with Elk, yeah, pretty close. And with you, there's a stack of 28 removal spells. Yeah, that checks out.
I'm a control player at heart. I love my spot removal, even if it's really bad in Commander.
Yeah, spot removal is a bit sketch, I think. But in your particular case, I think it's really interesting because you play these very specific pieces of removal as well, right? You don't just play generically good stuff. You have a lot of these strange arcane spells.
Yeah, I was really tempted to push into a 4th color to play more arcane spells. But for now, it's Esper. I don't know if I'm going to be splashing a color or two. I think there's, it's really just like Rend Flesh, I mentioned earlier, which is like Destroy Target Non-Spirit, is like the main one that you like loop with the Unspeakable. It lets me kill other flying blockers so I can like push in for damage. And then Disrupting Shawl is like a really bad Force of Will. So those ones are pretty funny. I do have to, the list is filled out with like some good counter spells. Like there's a Mana Drain in here. There's a Swan Song. Considering how jank the list is, I do kind of like need it to function. Oh, I totally forgot. I'm now realizing I didn't even talk about Sift Through Sands, which is the original card that inspired me to build this deck.
Mm-hmm.
So Sift Through Sands is blue 1 for an arcane instant. Draw 2 cards, discard a card. But then, if you have played a card named Peer Through Depths and a spell named Reach Through Miss that turn, it lets you search your library for the Unspeakable and put it into play. Which I have both those cards in this deck as well. They're just like cantrips.
It needs to be this turn. I thought it was this game.
No. You have to do it all in one turn. It is really bad.
But at least they all draw cards.
Yeah. Reach Through Miss is just 1 blue, draw a card. And then Peer Through Depths is blue and 1. Look at the top 5, grab an instant or sorcery. So it helps you dig for it. But if you Peer Through Depths and then whiff on the Sift Through Sands, you're just not doing it. That's
funny. Have you managed to do that yet?
I have managed to assemble it, but the last time that I did, the Unspeakable was in the graveyard.
Oh.
And it doesn't pull it out of the yard. It only grabs it out of the deck, which was really unfortunate.
That is kind of unfortunate. I mean, this is the kind of thing where I feel like you build a deck for it, and every time you play it, right, you're just like, okay, we gotta hit this. We gotta get there.
Yeah.
So this is a deck that I think uses a lot of strong cards to support a lot of bad cards. What bracket would you put this in?
This is firmly 3. It's definitely like, there are certain cards that I think are game changers that, if you had one in your list and it was like a jank list, you could call it bracket 2. That's fine. I do not think Humility is one of those cards. No. I don't know if I'm running like a Humility list against like precons. That's like, and like Psych Rift is the other like powerful card, right? So, I feel like this has some like power plays, and although it is slow, I think it's too grindy for most bracket 2 lists to keep up with. So I think it's like a firm 3. That said, I do love using powerful cards to support really bad cards. Like when I Demonic Tutor for Eerie Procession, so I can Eerie Procession for Reweave, so then 3 turns later I can Reweave for the Unspeakable. Yeah, in theory, Demonic Tutor is a powerful card, but in the context of this list, when I do that line, it doesn't feel that strong.
I feel
it's pretty slow.
It is slow. And the Unthinkable is not the kind of card that you can just cast either, right? What is it, 9 mana?
It's 6 blue.
Oh, That's brutal.
It's also only a 6/7. It's not even that big.
So
Like I wish it was like a 9/9.
yeah, you said this is a very grindy deck, right? And your goal is ultimately to smack people with the unspeakable, but that's gonna take a while to take them down. So you do rely kind of on the other players being a bit more proactive, so you can kind of position yourself properly and like finish the game not across too many turns, or are you fine with it just taking a long ass time?
Oh, I'm a complete psychopath. I don't mind a game going really long. If we had a long, crazy game where everybody's doing stuff, that's a good game of Casual Commander for me, to be honest.
Well, what does that
I guess
mean?
I also
Really
have
long?
Ishai. Oh, so I did a stats video like recently.
Yeah.
I recorded my last like 100 games. My longest game was turn 16. And that only happened like 3 times. I think that's like pretty excessive. I think like, turn 11 or 12, because I have Ishai to do damage too in this deck. So like, if a game lasts like 12 turns, I feel like that's like a solid long commander game.
So who do you usually play this against?
I have no regular playgroup. I just moved. We were talking about this before, which is I appreciate you taking time to let me finish that before hopping on.
Oh, no worries. I'm just glad that you made it.
Yeah. So my old game store basically shut down for like weeks, and they like downsized. So like that was gone. And then in the new place that I just moved to, the game store here is also closed for other reasons. So I don't have like a shop that I go to regularly. So I kind of play at like conventions, or I play with friends. But even that's like kind of sparing, because most of my friends are from 2 moves ago. So like I just kind of play with like randos online, my patrons, people on Spell Table. There's no regular play group. I'm rarely playing against the same person twice.
So you mostly play online then?
Right now, yeah.
Yeah. And would you say that the experience playing online is very different from playing in person?
Yes, 100%. There are some freaks on Spell Table, let me tell you.
Tell me about the freaks.
Oh, well, I mean, like, you'll just like, I bet I could do this right now. If I just go to Spell Table, you'll see like people say like, no, no infinites, no this, no using that, no this commander. Like you'll see random weird restrictions.
Yeah.
Like no this commander is like kind of crazy. It's like something from a precon, right? It'll be like no Lathril or something. There's so many like weird things, and then like I found people to be a lot more rude, with the anonymity of the internet, right?
Yeah.
With one exception, and that is CDH. CDH on Spell Table is chef's kiss. It is phenomenal. Everyone's there to have a good time. There's no nonsense. It's actually super great. I'm very happy with CDH on Spell Table.
I wonder if that's because it's a bit more difficult to find CDH games in person. So the people that want to play it, take it a bit more seriously.
Maybe. I don't know. I mean, there are a lot of CDH players out there. I just yesterday and the day before was in 2 CDH 5Ks. And then, there's like, 40, 50 people showing up to those.
Yeah. I mean, I don't mean to be disrespectful, right? And like, that's great.
Yeah.
That's a good tournament number for CDH, right? But like, I find it difficult to like acknowledge that as a particularly large event if we look at it outside of that context.
Yeah, and this was kind of like a small thing within a different Warhammer event, so that might have been part of it. But CDH is, I can play CDH if I want to.
Yeah.
Anyway, but back to like playing online, it is very jank to play casual EDH online. There's a lot of randos you run into.
Yeah, I play a lot on MTGO. I have taken on the most insane project. I don't know why I have decided to do this, but I'm currently playing every single precon that has ever been made.
Okay.
And
like stock precon?
Yeah, I'm just taking the list as it was released. I'm just playing it to see what it feels like. It is truly a nightmare. And I'm doing that on MTGO because that's the easiest way to just import the deck and play it. And something that drives me mad are levers. There are so many levers. Do you have that
Yeah.
too?
Um, on spell table, I would say less so, but people are. I think it's less bad than it is on MTGO or Untapped or some of these other websites. But definitely, people are way more willing to concede and just move on to, because you can, right?
Yeah, you
If
can
you're just
just
like,
go to the next
oh,
game,
my
right?
hand is bad, you could just scoop. You're like, I don't want to mull to 6. You could just leave and join another pod and be like, all right, and then you just get more mulligans.
Yeah. Like, or what is very common, what I've seen very often, is people turn 1 land, turn 2 no land, turn 3 leave. They clearly just had the hand where they were like, man, if I draw 1 or 2 lands, this is the gone hand. And then they didn't. So they just found a new match. That drives me a little bit mad.
Yeah, I bet that happens all the time.
To kind of bring it back to your deck a little bit, one card every time, sorry, this is just, I see Search Force counter. Are you familiar with the Everflowing Well?
Yeah.
I love Everflowing Well in combination with Search Force counter. Like those two cards, if I play one, I always play the other. But I guess you don't play that many permanent spells, so you don't really benefit from the backside.
Yeah, I don't think, just double checking. Whenever you cast a permanent spell using mana by it, if one of the target permanent control becomes a copy of that until end of turn. I don't even know, like, turning something into a copy of Shark Typhoon for a turn maybe would work, but
That's
I
kind of
don't even know
banging.
what else would be, like, relevant.
Just double humility. I mean, to be honest, I like the Everflowing Well just for like a land. Like I don't even care about the second effect that much.
Yeah, that's fair.
But
It is a land that flips pretty easy. Descend 8 is not that difficult.
oh wait, no. Descent 8 is extremely difficult for you, actually.
Oh,
I take everything back I just said. Because how many instants and sorceries are in this deck? It's mostly instants and sorceries, right?
is Descend only permanents?
It's only permanents, yes.
Oh, I thought it was cards in the bin.
Oh,
Okay,
yeah,
yeah,
I
no, this is
always
useless.
confuse that too. Yeah, no, that's a terrible suggestion. I am sorry for even bringing it up. That's on me.
Okay, yeah, I have, what's that, 12, 13? I have 14 permanents
It's just all
outside
about
of
the
lands.
it's all about the instants and sorceries, right? So like you mentioned Shark Typhoon. That's one of the alternative ways for you to win.
Yeah, Shark Typhoon's like a pretty reasonable win con in this deck. Just because I'm like looping instants and sorceries, it lets me just kind of like get a couple of flyers out there. There was a time when I was running, what's it called? It's one of the techniques, the blue one. Replication technique?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, so replication technique plus Shark Typhoon is kind of a win con. I'm debating if I want replication technique back in the list or not. Because it lets you copy any permanent. So if I demonstrate it and I make 3 Shark Typhoons, you can close out a game pretty quick with 3 Shark Typhoons.
Yeah.
I guess my other win cons are like Behold the Unspeakable, which flips into like a big flying trample beater.
Yeah, I guess we can count that as a win con.
And then Mind's Dilation. So because
Yes.
this deck tries to take the game really long, Mind's Dilation is rather good in the list. It's still like pretty jank because, you flip lands off the top, you're not actually getting good stuff. But it has won me a couple of games just playing the control plane with Mind's Dilation. And I guess there's also bribery. There are times where like someone's just playing the big green deck and I can yoink a Kozilek. And if I just play Kozilek with some counter magic to back it up, I can sometimes close out games. So bribery is another just win con.
I think the kind of deck that you have right here is the kind of list that I would see people online say, oh, this can't stand a chance against the big green deck because it just will not have the resources to go up against it. So what's been your experience there? Because I imagine it's not quite that simple.
That's really funny. That's not at all what I thought you would say when you started that sentence.
No? Where did you think I was going?
I thought you were going to say this is the type of list that people see online and go, this will make players so salty. There's no way you can play this in casual.
Oh, I don't care about that. They can be mad. That's fine. Whatever.
Nobody, by the way, so this is a relatively new deck. I think I've only played it like 5 games so far. I have never, ever once had any salt with like randos. It's everybody's like, wow, the unspeakable. That's weird.
Yeah, I think you have the clear benefit of doing something weird that is like obviously weird. And as
Yeah,
soon as I see somebody playing arcane spells and splicing stuff onto them, I know they are not up to the standard stuff. And that to me personally always gives me just kind of like, okay, you know what? I'm kind of willing to forgive your shenanigans a bit more.
agreed. Yeah. Um, in terms of like beating the green decks, yeah. I mean that like the big green stompy player is like the bane of control decks, right? I would say like the main benefit is like once I get the unspeakable stuff going, I do have quote unquote infinite removal by just going like as long as I counter their card draw, I can always rend flesh their threat, hit them with the unspeakable, get rend flesh back, rend flesh their next threat, so on and so forth. And if I'm also playing Evermind, which is another card that I haven't even gotten to yet,
Oh, yeah, I love Evermind.
yeah, so Evermind has no mana cost. It is an arcane instant. It says draw a card and it is blue, but it has splice onto arcane. So I can effectively, whenever I cast an arcane spell, I can pay 1 in a blue to add draw a card to that spell. So if I can get to the late game where I'm like rend flesh your threat, Evermind spliced, to then draw a card, kill your thing, hit you with unspeakable, get rend flesh back, I can probably grind out anything. Assuming I live that long.
What do you do if they are two creatures?
That's where the board wipes come in.
Ah, okay, all right, all right. So we got a pretty wide board wipe package then.
Yeah, I'm playing Damnation, Deluge, Doomscar, Vanquish the Horde. I think that's it. No Farewell on this list. So 4 board wipes. Since I have no creatures, effectively, like board wipes feel really, really good in this deck, especially with Tevish Zot.
Yeah, I'm a bit surprised that you are not. It seems like you're being really nice, not necessarily just with like Farewell, but not even the other destroy all non-land permanents, right? Like you don't have any mana rocks, so why not take out the others?
Yeah, I mean, this deck could probably be upgraded with a Farewell or like play of the game or something like that. I guess I am playing Psychrift, which is
Yeah.
my answer to that, but it doesn't exile things. I don't know. To be honest, I feel like the list is reasonably strong as is, and I don't know if I need Farewell. Also, there's the slightly awkward part of Farewell where Sword of the Meek and Thopter Foundry do end up being win conditions often. And if one of them gets exiled, the other one is completely useless in the deck, and that is like a big win condition. So it is awkward if I just like played the Sword of the Meek to like, or I guess I would never play Sword of the Meek. If I played Thopter Foundry
Yeah.
for whatever reason, you know? Oh no, actually I have to cast Sword of the Meek. There's no other artifacts. So I have to cast both of them to get that loop set up. Because I have no other way to trigger Sword of the Meek outside of the really jank casting Ishai later in the game or whatever. So due to the list jankness, I have to forgo Farewell probably, but I could run some of the other destroy alls like cleansing, whatever the heck it is, cleansing Nova.
No, I was thinking, what is it called? Hour of Revelation is always the big one that jumps to mind.
That's what I was thinking of. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I was thinking of planar cleansing, but Hour of Revelation is better planar cleansing.
Yes. Although both of them are kind of mean, I have to say. So I'm mostly a bracket 2 gamer, and I completely stopped playing those because those poor precons. Oh, those poor precons.
Yeah, they just look. Those cards plus a little bit of green ramp will make sure no precon can win a game.
Yeah. So I think you're a player that's like very happy to just kind of like play the long game, right?
Mm-hmm.
And like kind of like grind it out.
Yes.
And you said that like people don't mind that. But have you had negative experiences with this kind of approach?
Pretty rarely. Like, I'm not gonna say never. Like I played like Talrand for a while, and I definitely got like I think at least one person who was pretty salty at Talrand. I'll say there's a perceived reaction online to a lot of stuff like this.
Hmm?
And I feel like that just doesn't happen in real life. Because in real life, you're sitting across the table from me, we're talking. It's very rare that my deck is, it's like what you said, the novelty. It's very rare that my deck is like literally oops all counter spells. It's probably like something really dumb and also a pile of counter spells on top of that. And the novelty of the dumb thing, people find charming. Also, oops all counter spells like doesn't win many games because
No.
single target removal is pretty bad in Commander. So like if I lose the game, it's kind of rare for people to be like, I'm salty. I beat you in a Commander game. And it's like, I mean, I lost, so I don't. Although I haven't lost with this deck yet. I'm 5-0 with it, I believe.
Oh, wow. Really?
Yeah.
It's just beating people over the head with an unspeakable.
I have managed to lethal people with the unspeakable, which is very funny. I'm very happy that I've been able to actually successfully unspeakable someone out of the game.
So do you think this is a permanent deck then? Like this is something you're going to keep around, or is this just something where you are enjoying the novelty of it?
I don't know, because like ultimately I'm a brewer at heart. I love changing my decks up. I do a lot of so I restrict myself on the number of decks I have. I have the 6 decks that I have built. And if I want to build a new one, I have to take apart one to build that. I stick to that rule pretty hard. And I find that makes me only build decks that I think are actually really, really interesting, or it makes me more likely to take apart a deck that isn't performing very well. So because of that, I kind of like reuse pieces a lot. So I have considered some other like jank control piles instead of this. This is another Kamigawa card. Are you familiar with Kaho Minamo Historian?
Oh no, that is a deep cut.
So it's from Saviors of Kamigawa. A blue 2 for a 2/2 human wizard. When it enters, you search for 3 instants and then exile them. And then Kaho lets you pay X and tap. And then you can cast a mana value X spell exiled with Kaho. As a commander, it's not very great because you're mono blue. But I really want to build this at kind of like my unspeakable list here in the 99 of a list with many colors, like ideally 5, and then do this like crazy instant like toolbox kind of list. So this list might eventually become 5-color Kaho if I figure out what I want to do with that. But for now, I really like this deck. So it's probably going to stick around for a while. And the problem with the Kaho list is the best commander for it is Kenrith, and I don't want to play Kenrith.
Yeah, I get that. It's always one of those cases.
Because Kenrith gives hasted instant speed, which is really relevant for Kaho.
But he's just so boring, It's the same guy.
I know,
every
but
time.
like, imagine if I have Kaho in play and somebody goes to like, blow up my stuff with a board wipe, and I go instant speed flicker Kaho, grab a Boros charm, give haste with Kenrith, activate Boros charm, give myself indestructible. Like, that's crazy, right?
That's crazy. So when you're building decks, do you usually try to pursue some kind of gimmick like that?
Oh, of course. Of course. There's like how many cards in the game? Like a gajillion? Why would I do the same thing that has been done 8,000 million times before? Why not come up with a new combination of cards?
Yeah, but I feel like what you're describing is not quite the same thing as just like putting together a new list, right? To me, it seems like you're building decks. Maybe it's just the 2 that we talked about today, but you're building decks around a very small subsection of your deck where you say, okay, I'm trying to get this specific card and do this specific thing with it. And that's what the deck is centered around. Like, for example, I have a mono white landfall deck, and that's not really a particularly common idea. And that deck, it relies on Faladar Retreat, but there's also other cards it can use. This, like, the landfall idea is stretched across the entire deck. While with your deck, it feels like you've got this, like, kind of like very dense package that everything is centered around.
Yeah, I think it's because I like exploring underdeveloped themes within the game. So, like, the unspeakable, I think, really speaks to that, pun intended. Arcane spells are weird. The splice into arcane mechanic is so strange. There's not anything else that really does anything like that.
Yeah.
It's so different. And it's so underdeveloped and so underexplored. There's like just not that many arcane spells. So my package, if I want to build an arcane spell deck, has to be small because I literally cannot fill out a list. But to that effect, if next set they just did, we're doing arcane spells. There's a billion of them. There's an arcane Cycrypt. There's an arcane actual Doomblade instead of the 3-mana crappy one. I would instantly take apart this deck. Because then it like stops being this underdeveloped thing that I'm trying to like build around, and it becomes a cookie cutter. And they've handed me the cookie cutter, and I'm making exactly the shape that they've determined for me. And I do this with a lot of my decks. My artifact deck is a salvaging stationed theme deck. And if they made a commander that cared about baubles specifically, I am deleting that deck, or I'm never playing that commander. Because I think it kind of ruins the, exploring the unexplored kind of idea.
Lutri exists, I guess.
Lutri?
The cat, no? Is that not the Boble cat?
Oh, you mean Loris?
Oh, my bad. Sorry, that Lutri was
Lutri's
the otter.
Yeah.
My bad. Yeah, no, I confused the companions.
I mean, Luris isn't it's not a thing that specifically says 1-mana artifact or less on the salvaging station. Now, don't get me wrong, I have built a Luris salvaging station deck. I've done that whole thing. But Luris isn't that specifically. You can play it with enchantments or creatures or blah, blah, blah.
So it needs to be
but
really
if they made like a commander that was salvaging stationed, I wouldn't like it.
So I guess like an example of that would be like Quenem. Where Quenem is literally just, okay, well now Bola Citadel is in the command zone. Go ahead, I guess, have fun with the Bola Citadel command zone card.
Exactly. So if I had like a deck that was looking to cheat out Bolas Citadel, I wouldn't want to play this because the novelty or challenge of cheating out the big thing that's like a wacky, crazy card is gone because it's just in my command zone. So it's just like an easy, okay, here's my Bolas Citadel.
Has this happened before? Did you take apart a deck because of cards that were released?
Yeah, let me take a look at my list of retired decks.
Is it long?
Not particularly.
No?
A lot of lists don't even make it onto any website.
Yeah.
I don't think so.
Do you build like a lot of decks offline and then you don't even like, put them online? You just like build them with the cards you have at hand?
Yeah. I'll put together, there's a lot of decks that don't even see the light of the internet. Because, so I build, I build a lot of decks within similar archetypes. Like I like to always have a blue control deck, a non-blue control deck, something kind of aggressive, something kind of mid-rangey. Like I like to have a mix of these things. And I never buy sealed product. I just buy singles. So I kind of have over, 15 years of playing the game, just like this collection of like random EDH bulk rares that fit into decks. So I will like put together a list and like goldfish it a couple times just in paper with a few proxies of, what I would be running and then scrap it if it just doesn't feel right. So there's a lot of lists that just don't make it anywhere.
So that brings me to a bit of a different point, but I feel like this is actually somewhat related. The deck list that you have sent here, and I wonder, are the artworks and so on that you have on Architect, are they the ones that you're using in real life?
Yes. For this list, I honestly, I loved it so much. I specifically made it exactly my list.
So that then means that this is a deck that's around $1,000, maybe more?
Yeah.
And you just kind of like, is that not something that you ever consider? Like, for example, when I'm building a deck, I always think about budget. Like, that's just something that's always in the back of my mind. But you just use the cards that you have, you assemble it, and if the deck is $1,000, then that's what it is. I mean, I already have the cards. So how does that work out for you?
Yeah, well, so I'll use the Demonic Tutor as an example.
Yeah.
This was a gift from my girlfriend. At the time, it was like $100. It is now $330.
Yeah, it's a
am
nice
I supposed
card,
to throw it away? It is a nice card. I think it's my favorite art in the game.
Yeah.
Should I throw it in the garbage and get a cheaper Demonic Tutor? Like, I don't know what to. I just, I like this list a lot, so I specifically put in the ones. The Scrubland I got off of store credit from trading in a bunch of things and like winning some events or whatever. Urborg Tomb of Yawgmoth is a $50 card. It was $8 at one point. You know, like, I'm trying to find other expensive things. I mean, humility is like reserve list or whatever. But it wasn't always $50. Like, I don't know. If the price of a card that I own goes up in price, should I like throw it away? No, it's
No.
just gonna
That's
be in the
not.
deck.
That's not it at all, right? I just think it's like always interesting. Like
I'm not saying that you think I should throw it away, by the way.
it's just dump that shit. If a card is more than $10, we throw it in the trash and we buy a worse version of it. No. I just think it's like always very interesting to see how players kind of treat their collection as well, right? And you said you've been playing for 15 years, so I imagine you have a fairly expansive collection as a result.
Yeah, so years ago, back when Modern was like a thriving format you could actually play in your local game store, I used to be like a serious Modern tournament grinder. And
Okay.
I was going to school in Seattle, and I would play at Card Kingdom's shop, Mock's Boarding House. And their buy-ins were really expensive for the weekly FNM. It was like $30.
Wow.
But if you went 3-1, you got $60 store credit. And if you went 4-0, you got 120 store credit. And you could use store credit to pay for your entry fee. And I spent 4 years grinding my Tron deck there, going 3-1, 3-1, 3-1, 4-0s here and there. And it just amassed hundreds of dollars of store credit. And that's how I bought almost everything I have that is reserve list.
Taking the pocket
And
money out of people.
yeah, exactly. And like that's how I got like a large majority of my collection. And then a lot of it was just like, you know, I bought Grim Monolith for like $20 or whatever, you know. So like, you know, this deck will probably be more expensive. Breath Stealer's Crypt is $5, but I think it's reserve list. So eventually it's going to be like a $50 card or something, you know. Eventually, if you just buy like random cards, they like usually tend to go up, especially if it's a fancy printing or like reserve list or whatever. And I'm not advertising this as like an investment or whatever. I just happen to do this because I bought cards that I wanted.
Yeah.
Every single card I own that is expensive is in a deck. Nothing sits in a binder ever. If it sits in a binder, I sell it.
Oh, do you do that a lot? You also like trading cards in that way? Like you're selling them, getting cash for new cards, I assume?
Yeah. If if there's something that's in my binder that's like $20 or more, if it's there for like an extended period of time, I don't want to have it in a deck. I'm getting rid of it for store credit to buy a card that I'm looking for.
Oh, immediately
I don't like
for store credit then.
I mean, or cash. It depends on the situation where I am or whatever, you know. But like, you know, I have this like scrub land, right? That's never going to sit in a binder. I am always, probably for the rest of my time playing EDH, I will have a deck that has black, white in its color identity so I can play this because I do not want it to sit in my binder.
Yeah. I mean,
you know,
it's a card game. The cards are to be played with, right?
They're meant to be played. So, yeah, I mean, this deck's expensive, but like, I don't know, like the money is in like fancy printings of cards and like a couple of things. It's not like, I don't know, budget is tangentially related to power, but it is not a direct correlation. So I don't think that this isn't like an overpowered list. It's like perfectly fair.
No, I wouldn't say that. I mean, like honestly, like with most decks, most of your budget is in the mana base, right?
Yeah, I just have fetches and shocks, which makes a lot of my decks expensive. But like, I have one of every fetch, one of every shock, and I'll proxy them between decks, you know?
You know, as somebody who hasn't been playing as long as you have, like I never had shocklands. I don't have any fetchers. But now Edge of Eternities came out, right? And like a lot of people in my community, they've not been playing for that long. And nobody had shocklands. And I think it's really funny how now that the set came out and people kind of opened some booster packs and whatnot, you know, just kind of the usual behavior that they always have. And you see the shocklands all over the place. And that's just kind of like how that, I suppose, that valve within a community builds, right? Where people just kind of like crack the packs, they get their booster, they get their shocklands, they get the fancy stuff, and then now they just have them. So to anybody out there who feels like, these expensive cards are never gonna get to them, right? They look at a deck where it's just like, oh, how am I gonna afford the $400 mana base? First of all, you probably don't need to. You probably don't need that much in the mana base. But even secondly, just like as the sets release, like you're going to accumulate cards that just adds up over time.
Yeah, this is why so up until very, very recently, I think I had like a multi-year, like maybe 5, 6 years of not buying sealed product ever. Yeah. Any money I spent on the game was just singles. And by doing so, after 10 years of like doing that, you can get a good collection. As Edge of Eternities, right now, those Shocklands are like as cheap as they're ever going to be. They're like $5. Instead of buying a booster box, you could spend less money and buy one of every shock from Edge of Eternities.
That's what I did.
And then when Lorwyn comes out and reprints the other half of the shocks, do the same. And then suddenly you own every Shockland.
Yep. I mean,
and then you keep those forever.
And look, I'm not a big like booster person. Like I get like maybe a booster pack per set release. But like because of like my local FNM, like you kind of accumulate booster packs because we usually give out booster packs as prizes for the night.
Yeah.
So you just kind of like get some here and there and you find some additional cards. Anyways, we've been going for quite a while now. I don't want to keep you too long. Thank you very much for taking the time to talk to me here.
This was fun.
Before we leave it though, is there any one card, any one synergy that you feel like we haven't brought up yet that you would like to point out that you think is really cool?
You know what? Actually, yeah. There's this list has a lot of like depth to it, such that I'm like still finding lines. In a game I played with this deck yesterday, I ended up with the Unspeakable in my graveyard, Tevish Zot in play, and Goryo's Vengeance in my hand. And I went, oh my goodness, I don't need the Otherworldly Journey to flicker the Unspeakable. I can Goryo's Vengeance it, swing, add Goryo's Vengeance back into hand, sack the Unspeakable to Tevish Zot to draw 2 cards, and then next turn just do the same thing. And that was a line I didn't intend or think about when constructing the deck, but it just like came about in a random game. And I was like, oh my goodness, this is so cool. And I think that's the fun part about building decks around weird cards is, you haven't seen other people play it, so you don't realize all of the potential lines until you actually like sit down. And that makes the deck really fun. There's a lot of depth to it.
I think also with a lot of cards, they are probably better than we give them credit for, right? We're often focused on just the best cards, but the second best or third best option, sometimes they just have a little trick up their sleeve that you don't expect.
100%.
Well then, thank you very much for coming on today. Really appreciate it. And to all of you out there, let us know who you would like to see next.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
All right, I am un-PNG-ified. Next one, we don't have to be PNG-ified. I already got one more person lined up. This stuff is a lot of fun. I've really been enjoying these videos. I hope you guys have been enjoying them as well. And so I want to make more of them. As I already said, let me know if you have anybody in mind. Until then, don't forget to give the video a thumbs up. Would definitely appreciate that. And don't forget to support me on Patreon. There's a link down in the description. That's really the big way you can support me. This kind of channel is difficult to maintain in the long run. And Patreon is the best way for you to enable me to continue doing this. All right, I'll see you guys. Goodbye.